Previously on the World Enduro Super Series. In wet and windy England, we hit the first cross-country race of the season at Hawkstone Park for round 6 of West. Local hero Nathan Watson was back to defend his 2017 Hawkstone title. But the star of the race was Spanish KTM rider Joseph Garcia, who dominated Hawkstone. He bested the Brits on their own turf, coming in first a full minute and a half ahead of second-placed Watson. Here are the current West standings. Now we make our way to Sweden for the largest enduro on the planet. The small fortified city of Visby is scarred from centuries of epic battles. It sits next to the frigid waters of the Baltic Sea, floating off the southeast coast of Sweden on the island of Gotland. Today, it's home to the largest cross-country battle in the world, the Gotland Grand National. Now in its 35th year, this race hosts 3,200 pro and amateur riders. Here, they navigate a 22-kilometer course through Scandinavian forests and rocky, slippery island trails. The UK's Billy Bolt is now #1 in the West Series and is looking to extend his lead. He's only 125 points ahead of Germany's Manuel Lettenbichler, sitting in second. In third, it's Spain's Joseph Garcia. He's known for his speed and has been coming on strong in the second half of the West at the faster races. But Nordic riders have dominated this race. Norwegian 2017 Gotland champ Kjetil Gundersen is back to defend his title, and Robert KVARNSTRÖM is looking to become the first Swedish winner in 7 years. Anything can happen at the penultimate race of the season as top riders continue their points push for the title of Ultimate Enduro Champion.
We are here near the start at round 7 of World Enduro Super Series here in Gotland Grand National.
The start is really spectacular to see. On the front row, it's 110 riders, all the riders with the engine switch off and then just bam. First of all, you feel really nervous on the start because you know that you have 100 guys behind you.
When I'm sat there on the line, when there's 30 seconds to go, I'm going to be really, my heart rate's going to be up and I'm going to be pretty nervous.
The rows behind you are coming for you, so if you don't get a good jump or for whatever reason your bike doesn't start straight away, you're just going to get swallowed.
The first 100 meters, it's really rocky.
And it's a pretty long straight as well, so they definitely, if you're not out the front, you're going to be getting all kinds of rocks and mud through at you, so it's going to be pretty painful if you're not out the front as well.
We arrive into the first corner like 100 kilometers an hour.
If so many people coming into one corner, it's always banging bars together.
If you're in a good position at the start, you find like motivation, you find extra energy to carry on till the finish if you're in a good position. So just go flat out from the get-go.
Green light hits, excitement is on, and then we're in race mode.
The world's biggest enduro race, one start, bam.
It's race day. Riders and fans brave the worst storm in race history to watch elite senior and junior class competitors attack a sea of brown sludge.
Yeah, we are here at the start line, getting prepared to take off. The weather condition is exactly as I want it. It's gonna be muddy and it's gonna be real tough.
Yeah, now it's gonna be really challenge. It's gonna be casino. Everything can happen. The fast riders are here, and so we Swedish guys gonna try to catch up with them.
The conditions are incredible, rain, mud, so yeah, I can't wait for start the bike and just full gas.
This many entries, you know, if you have a problem or a mistake, you're going to be way back and you're not even going to score points. It's going to be survival out there, to be honest, for 3 hours.
Surviving the 22-kilometer course in these conditions won't be easy. Near the city of Visby, a massive moto mob gather for one of the biggest group starts in the series. Visby means place of sacrifice in Old Norse. Here, competitors are about to sacrifice body and bike to the mud. From a dead engine start, an army of West warriors charge into the muck. Number 83, Norwegian rider Kevin Horgmo gets the hole shot. This is the last time you'll see the pack this clean for the rest of the race. Speeding into the first turn, the pack bottlenecks and riders go down. It's chaos right from the start. Out in front, Swedish Honda rider Daniel Axelsson takes an early lead, followed by Kevin Horgmo and number 17, Oskar Lundström. The rest of the pack winds through the woods. Amongst them is current West leader Billy Bolt. Pushing through a deep puddle, he gets cut off and takes a swim, but recovers. He works to make up the time, but goes down and damages his bike. So far, this is not his race.
The throttle's broke, boys.
The new tube.
On the first lap, he must have gone down somewhere and broke the throttle tube, so the throttle kept jamming. So he come in, we sorted that, took like probably about 3 or 4 minutes to sort that, filled him up with fuel and new goggles and gloves and stuff, and then sent him on his way. He's catching back up slowly, but he's still, you know what I mean, these Swedish lads, I know exactly what they're doing in this terrain, so.
One Swedish rider who knows the terrain well is Husqvarna rider ALBIN ELOWSON. He came in second here in 2016 and 2017. Right now, he's leading the pack. Skimming over the slick track and taking smart lines through the water is Yamaha rider Robert KVARNSTRÖM. Fishtailing through muddy ruts, he follows ELOWSON in second. Swedish riders continue to lead the charge with number 48 Ken Bengtsson in third and KTM rider Joachim Lundgren in fourth. Further back and making his way into seventh position is Polish legend TADDY BLAZUSIAK. He's the only West rider even remotely close to the front of the pack. To the amazement of fans, riders, and their teams, so far, the top West riders aren't doing as well as expected. Manuel Lettenbichler, Joseph Garcia, and Billy Bolt aren't even close to the top 10. The top 3 West riders will have to do better as they fight for more series points.
The world's biggest enduro race. 3,100 riders on the track at the same time almost.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest event I've ever done for sure. I mean, it's crazy. We're on a little island in Sweden.
Now I'm here and I can see how big an event it is and how passionate the people are. I can understand why it's been going strongly for years, because this whole island definitely embraces the race.
It's amazing. Every year I'm looking forward to this many months before.
Living on Gotland, so that gives me a really good opportunity for this race.
Every race the local has an advantage. It's an advantage, but it's not the be-all and end-all, I don't think.
The Gotland Grand National is 3-hour race, 2 pit stops.
Pretty fast-flowing kind of track for as many laps as you can do in the 3-hour time limit.
The lap is about 22 Ks, I guess, so it's pretty long actually for a cross-country race.
Cross-country race is almost like a long motocross race, but a longer track and a lot of more riders.
The track's strange. It's like not a real hard base, though, to be fair. The rain's not making it really heavy. It's just kind of sitting on top and putting like a layer of slush on top.
Very rocky, not the kind of rocks we're used to, where they're big and difficult, just fast, loose, slippery, and I'd say for us extreme guys, pretty sketchy.
The track is going to be super damaged. It's going to be for sure a lot of ruts and deep holes.
It's going to be really slippery and yeah, it should be quite fun.
You can have people around the track to give you goggles, and that's a big advantage.
Having a good vision, I think it's super important. It's going to be muddy, I would say.
The weather's really bad today.
For me, it's best if it's really wet.
So any kind of water is just going to make it difficult to read the ground, which is going to make it even harder for non-natural fast riders.
To win this race, you need to be quite fast, but at the same time really calm.
I think it's more surviving than riding, I guess.
To beat the West guys would be awesome.
Wheel deep in the wet stuff, riders slip, slide, and spray through a field of fallen amateurs and back markers. Competitors knew ALBIN ELOWSON would be fast in the mud going into the race. So far, he's living up to expectations, maintaining his lead. Through a speedy straightaway, closing in on the pits, ELOWSON is followed by second position, Robert KVARNSTRÖM. Wearing a white helmet, Ken Bengtsson is looking for the right opportunity to stop for clean goggles and gloves. A sliver of yellow peeks through the mud on fourth position, Joachim Lundgren's helmet. He takes a different line from Bengtsson as riders make one of two necessary pit stops. ELOWSON slides in. While KVARNSTRÖM struggles to get a new glove on, the race frontrunner blasts back into the lead. KVARNSTRÖM continues to struggle as time ticks away. ELOWSON is over 30 seconds ahead as the second position rider finally leaves the pits. It will be difficult for KVARNSTRÖM to catch up. Further back, TADDY BLAZUSIAK is still holding on to seventh position. At this point, BLAZUSIAK is the only top West rider who even has the slightest hope of winning the race. He makes a quick pit stop to hydrate. And then it's back to business. Surprisingly, number 7011, Joseph Garcia, is sitting way back in 16th place. On a borrowed bike, number 7002, privateer Paul Bolton is right behind Garcia, followed closely by Nathan Watson. In 27th position, Manuel Lettenbichler is running the risk of losing his number 2 spot in the overall West standings. Blinded by the mud, the KTM rider tries to shake it off as his team works on replacing his worn brake pads. It's an issue he's been dealing with all race. The team moves quickly, but every second puts him further back in the pack.
Today is horrible, you know, it's really difficult to race here. Yeah, it was a little bit stressful, you know, the goggle was completely full of mud and then was really wet and he stopped every lap, you know, everything is full of mud and dirt and the gloves are wet and yeah, next lap you need something to eat also. And yeah, all in all, keep going.
Back to the front, hard-charging race leader ELOWSON looks like he's riding on pavement, proof of his skills in these conditions. He's still 30 seconds ahead of second position KVARNSTRÖM. Ken Bengtsson is still holding on in third. As track conditions continue to deteriorate, one mistake can flip this leaderboard and top West riders may still have a chance to catch up. Now let's check in with two rising KTM stars as they discuss their top moments from the very first World Enduro Super Series.
So what were your expectations of this season at the start of the year?
Difficult because a lot of extreme races, so...
Yeah, me also. I expected that it was not going to be as hard as it actually was. It was way harder, the extreme races, than I expected.
Did you ever think during this season any situation you can handle?
For sure at Romaniacs, every single day. All 4 days,
Yeah.
1 or 2 times I thought, this is too much.
Every morning was like, wow, today will be tough again. Did you think you can finish Romaniacs?
After the first day when I started on the bike at 6 o'clock in the morning and I finished at 9:30 in the evening, so 16 hours sat on the bike, I thought there's a lot of times where I wanted to give up, but finally we made it to the finish line. Every single trip we stay in the hotel together, not in the same bed, but in a separate bed, luckily. When we're away from the paddock, away from the race, we just speak about normal things, speak about
Sometimes
girlfriends,
crazy
movies,
things.
music.
Yeah.
It's good to take your mind off the racing sometimes. What's been your favourite moment of the season so far?
For sure, when I win. Houston Park was one of the best moments of the season.
I think it was the same because it was my best result of this season, was second, so yeah. My home race, all my friends, all my family was there to watch, so yeah. Auckland was definitely the highlight of my season. I never expected in my life to race Erzberg.
No, same.
And we see Erzberg, Romaniac, Scotland, we see all the different races.
The crowd, a lot of people.
We're in a good position because we still have 2 fast races which should suit us better. And you know, you're in third in the championship after 4 extreme races. So who do you think is going to end up on top at the end of the season?
Of me?
Yeah.
For sure. But everything can happen.
Full gas and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Going full gas hasn't helped the struggling Watson during this race. As he pulls into the pits, he's dropped from 12th to 15th position. He's now over 15 minutes behind race leader ELOWSON, who is showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, he's a strong rider, especially in these conditions, because he's from Sweden. You know, this is normal winter weather.
Another Swedish rider used to these conditions is Robert KVARNSTRÖM, just over a minute and a half back in second place. A minute behind him, Ken Bengtsson is riding strong, maintaining third position through a section known as the Horseshoe. As the track continues to get chewed up, amateurs are having a harder time in the same section. Watching riders sink in the sloppy froth is what fans have come to love about this race. Anna Barzelius is also loving the Gotland Grand National. She's had an amazing race, sitting in first place for the female riders. Joseph Garcia is doing his best to stay in the game. He's now sped his way into 10th place. Sitting in 16th, Paul Bolton is pushing his borrowed bike to the max, covered in grime and riding with virtually no brakes. Lettenbichler is in the same mess. His brakes are so covered with mud, there's almost no means of stopping. He's now slipped to 33rd position. Back to the front, ELOWSON is in the same boat, but he knows how to handle the brake issues, having dealt with this kind of terrain many times before. Second place KVARNSTRÖM passes back markers with ease. He lives on Gotland and has been training for this race all year. Nearly blinded by the mud and rain, TADDY BLAZUSIAK has propelled himself into 4th. He may still find a place on the Gotland podium if he keeps up this impressive pace.
On a scale from 1 and 10, speed is for sure 10. I would say it's just about speed this race. There are no hills, it's just corners, straights and mud, I guess. So it's everything about speed and riding clever.
It's going to be a completely different riding style from this section here to some of the stony sections over there as well.
I guess so.
So you're going to be riding more in the back in the stony sections, and then here it's going to be more aggressive motocross style, looking for them smooth lines as well.
Wide open, outside. If you're coming into a corner, you have to roll it more. Like if you're coming in, take a seat on your bike, roll it.
You need to run high gear. Immediately out of the corner when you hit those stones, you're gonna shift the gear. Just keep the engine low RPMs and just smooth. Use the outside berms.
Maybe you're neck and neck with someone and you may be wanting to go for the pass. When does fast become too fast, you know?
It's hard to say, I guess, Paul. It's hard to say because this race is just wide open, and with all the lappers on the track, with the different difficult bumps, it's super dangerous, I would say. So we have to ride really smooth and clever just to don't make mistakes.
I think if you can carry it around the corners and across the bumps, I think you'll save so much more energy and you'll be able to push on and faster in general. When you feel good, you know, put the hammer down and try and, you know, get as far up the order as possible.
And it's going to be difficult to change from that pin it wide open to maybe just little gentle rolls of the gas.
Keep for speed, try to keep the speed.
Keep the flow and the speed.
Keep the flow and the speed. Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll get him later.
For sure, some Swedish riders will be really fast, and they know how it goes this race. So,
if you ain't fast, you end up last.
Wind gusting up to 60 kilometers an hour tear through the trees as the storm rages on at the Gotland Grand National. It's getting late in the day, and the temperature is dropping. Riders are cold and tired as they enter the pits for the last time. It's been a rough year for ELOWSON. He lost a sponsor and suffered 2 concussions. The 23-year-old is looking for his first big win, if he could just hold on to his lead.
Yeah, now he has to keep going to the finish because also the riders behind him, we know they are fast, and if they can keep pushing, you never know. In this condition, everything can happen. You can lose the chain or whatever, so full gas to the finish.
Over 2 hours into the race, riders are becoming mentally and physically exhausted. But Robert KVARNSTRÖM is still putting the pressure on in second position.
Yeah, this is his race. He lives here in Gotland. He's ready for this. He doesn't have to make anything. He just has to make no mistakes.
Swedish privateer Ken Bengtsson is chasing down the front runners in third. Behind him is the only top West rider gunning for the podium, TADDY BLAZUSIAK. He had a rough start to the series with time penalties in Portugal, 0 points in Romania, and suffering a broken finger. He started coming back after his own race in Poland. He's currently 4th overall in West. A big finish here could get him enough points to move into the top 3. But a fall will cost him. Slowly climbing the ranks, a group of top West riders are huddled together. Joseph Garcia is now in 12th. Billy Bolt is in 13th. Paul Bolton is behind him, and he's trailed by Nathan Watson in 15th. At this point, they're chasing each other for West points. After injuring his thumb in a fall, Manuel Lettenbichler has slipped to 43rd position in the race. Riding with no brakes, he's trying to get as many points as possible in order to hold on to his second place West position. We're in the final minutes of the race. It's been bar-banging, muddy mayhem, but ALBIN ELOWSON hasn't let up. Neither has KVARNSTRÖM, who is still doing his best to challenge for first. Recovering from his fall, BLAZUSIAK is digging deep in 4th, but doesn't have enough to catch up to 3rd place Bengtsson. And after a 3-hour grind through the wind, rain, and mud, 23-year-old ALBIN ELOWSON takes the title at the Gotland Grand National.
I don't know really, it feels like a dream if I should be honest with you, but I'm so stoked about this, and the race has been going perfect. Just one small crash. After the first pit stop I got a decent lead and then extended, and the conditions have been brutal this year, so I'm super happy. I have always dreamed of, and I just like everything like this is a dream, and finally making it happen.
Yamaha's Robert KVARNSTRÖM takes second.
I'm really happy with my performance, but today the wind was really tough. On the last 2 laps I was without brakes, so took it really easy, just hopping around and have fun and enjoy it. Worst condition ever.
Privateer Ken Bengtsson is in 3rd place. And hard enduro legend TADDY BLAZUSIAK comes in 4th.
You know, I ended up 4th, which is really good. I'm really happy with 4th. You know, I didn't really know what to expect coming into this event. I never done it before. Still 1 to go, and what if, right?
West Series leader Billy Bolt was able to climb his way into 13th place.
Yeah, really rough first lap. Definitely happy to see the pits after that first time we had to come in and make a few repairs, and pretty far behind. I was really happy to manage to come back through the pack and get a solid result and keep the West lead overall.
I've never felt so close.
Here's your Gotland Grand National podium. It's ALBIN ELOWSON in 1st, Robert KVARNSTRÖM in 2nd, and Ken Bengtsson in 3rd. After 7 rounds, here are the overall West rankings. Bolt is still in the lead, 275 points ahead of Lettenbichler. Garcia is in 3rd, and BLAZUSIAK's putting on the pressure, only 25 points behind him in 4th. Join us at the 8th and final race of the World Enduro Super Series. 1,000 riders fight to the finish at the only beach race of the season. There's still 1,000 points out there, and the top 4 riders have a chance to take them and the grand prize KTM crossbow. It's all come down to this. We'll crown the ultimate enduro champion in the Netherlands at Red Bull Knockout. Until then, thanks for joining us. I'm Troy Mannering saying, keep the rubber side down.